Good afternoon. I'm Jerry With. We are in Chicago, Illinois, and we are talking with
Mark Kislingbury.
Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised, grew up, and that kind of thing. Family?
I was born in Ames, Iowa, and been an Iowan ever since, of course, and went to court reporting school in Iowa, and I left Iowa to take a job in Houston, Texas, and been there pretty much ever since.
What school did you go to in Iowa?
It was called the American Institute of Business, AIB, and it's since changed its name to AIB College of Business.
So what was your first job in Houston?
My first job in Houston was to go to work for Allied Reporting, which was a good and excellent firm, and I was actually chosen to fly down there and work for them. The owner was looking for a male because they had some attorneys that were doing some out-of-town work, and they had mostly female reporters, and he wanted to travel with males. And so that's originally why I was sought out at AIB. She flew me down there for an interview on around early January, which in Iowa it's freezing cold at that time. And when I got there, it was 70 degrees, sunshiny. Got to see downtown Houston, and nobody was wearing a jacket, and everyone was dressed in nice business clothes. And I said, "Oh, this is wonderful. I would love to live here." And so since I had already passed the Iowa CSR at that point, I just left school 7 weeks before getting my degree, which the school tried to talk me out of that so that I would get the degree, but I only had 2 or 3 classes left, and they were not related to speed or anything. So I wanted to take the job, so I left, and January 15th or so, in 1983, I moved to Houston, Texas.
Before we leave the school environment, I think people would be dying to know how long you spent in school before you achieved a speed of...
Well, 225 words a minute, I guess, would be the speed I achieved in school. I was blessed with a talent to be a court reporter. I believe God steered me that way. And I left school after 1 year and 4 months. So I was 16 months in school.
How was that? I think all of the reporters can identify with the fact there were people in our class who were better than us, but not everybody had someone that was just like head and shoulders. And how did that affect you and your relationship with the other students at the time? Were you just revered, or do you think people were jealous, or did you feel any of that at all?
I know there is a lot of jealousy in court reporting programs, and fortunately, probably since I was a male, I didn't feel it. I don't think I saw any overt jealousy toward me from any of the other students, although I think among themselves there may have been some. But I pretty much got along with everybody, and I found that people either love school or hate school, and I loved it. I just really loved court reporting school and was trying to get straight A's throughout it, and I was in my element because everything involved with court reporting I really liked.
Do you think that your talents were savant-like, or had you played the organ or the piano for 15 or 20 years? So was it a matter of finger dexterity, or the whole thing just sort of clicked and you don't know why?
That's an excellent question. I definitely think I was given a healthy dose of talent to be a court reporter from God. And I would say that manifested itself before I went to school in that I loved video games. I wasted a lot of money on the quarter video game arcades in my teenage years, and if my dad ever knew how much I wasted, he'd probably have a heart attack. I probably could have paid for school had I not played video games. But I loved them, and I would go there with my friends, and we had our favorite games. And not only did we like to play video games, but we liked to play the ones we were really good at. And when you were good at it, you could play longer on one quarter. And we got to where on some of the games, if we were really good, we could play a half hour, 45 minutes on one quarter. And it was not only fun to be able to play the game you're good at for a long period of time, but to have your friends watch you while you're playing. So you're playing and you've got 2 or 3 friends on either side watching you. And we all liked that. We liked to watch each other play the video games that we were highly skilled at. And strangely enough, that transferred to court reporting directly for me and made me rather unique in the court reporting field, in the sense that, for lack of a better word, maybe I was a ham. If I did something well, I wanted people to see that I'm doing it well, my friends. And so as soon as I realized or learned in school that you could hook a steno machine to a computer and they say a word, I write it, and if I write it correctly, it comes out on the screen, to me that was a video game. And I realized that maybe someday people will want to see that screen and see what's going on, and I wanted to hear it, write it, and see it come up. And so I like to say that I wanted to do real time in front of people for extra pay from the beginning. Whereas a lot of other reporters, being perfectionists and self-conscious, they're afraid to show their real time. And whereas I was eager to get started on it.
And so you kind of parlayed the video gaming, which required just hours of practice to get good at it, so you became recognized, into a career.
I suppose that would be true. I'll tell you exactly how I got into court reporting. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I had tried on various career days visiting a lawyer, and I visited a lawyer who I sat in front of his desk while he discussed contracts on the phone. So I didn't want to be a lawyer. I took accounting in 10th grade, and I pictured myself with a very nice suit and a red tie, making a lot of money and working 40 hours a week as an accountant. And as soon as I filled out all those journals and everything, and that paperwork, I hated it, and I quit accounting after 1 semester. I don't like paperwork to this day. But I decided, since I didn't know what I wanted to be, in 11th grade I took shorthand in the office education program, Greg Shorthand. And the Greg Shorthand, the first day there were me and 12 girls in the class. And by the end of the semester there were me and 3 girls left with the attrition rate. And I eventually got up to the blazing speed in Greg Shorthand of 120 words a minute. And the teacher had me compete in the state contest for 1-year people, and I won that. And then I went down to San Antonio and competed, and I got 10th place down there. I blame the typewriter that they made me use. And so I just love shorthand. Well, one day when in shorthand class, a lady from AIB showed up, and she had a olive green brand new steno machine with the shiny black keys, and she put it on the table. And when I laid eyes on that machine, I fell in love with it. I asked about it, found out it was for court reporters, didn't know what a court reporter was, found out that they could write 220 words a minute. I loved typing, which I thought I would hate before I learned it. I loved typing. And got up to accurate 80, 85 words a minute. You know, I wasn't a prodigy at typing, but good. And so when I saw that machine and found out, this was around 1980, that why the average salary was $30,000 a year, according to those federal statistics, right out of school. And I imagine that might even be more than my dad is making. And isn't it every man's dream to make more than his dad when he gets out of college? And what? You can only go 2 years and become a court reporter? Wow. And it's 90% women on the campus? Wow. What more could you ask for?
Exactly.
And so I had also excelled at soccer, loved soccer, but they didn't have a varsity program at my high school. So I was looking in the US for any college that offered both varsity soccer and a court reporting program, and there were 0 of those. So I figured I should do the prudent thing and do the court reporting. And so I still play soccer today, but it's just for fun.